We do start out this semester in remote learning, and it will go in
Yes.
through at least next Friday,
Which is the 15th.
which is the 15th. And talk about the feedback so far this week that you've gotten from administrators in the schools, perhaps some teachers. How has the remote process been out of the gate to start the new year?
Well, interestingly enough, and I do this anytime that we look at a transition or shift, I ask for a reflection or review of a first day. And it's not something that's new to this, but something we always look at. And as I was reading through the completion of that with all of our campuses late yesterday, it was, I don't want to say refreshing as much as that it was one of like, okay, it's going to be okay. We've gotten better at what we're doing. I think there's more understanding as far as how in person as well as those remote days that are truly remote now, but the synchronous, asynchronous learning principles were going on, not only how smooth, but also the ease that teachers were at as far as transitioning, as far as even in their instruction. Elementary school, for example, from small groups to working with full classroom instruction, giving pointers as far as what to do, as far as when I do not meet with you tomorrow, this is what you need to do. But overwhelming, every school that much better than they anticipate because of what they experienced that week before going into break and the preparation that is taken as far as to, again, remote teaching, remote learning is much harder, but they feel more, I guess, proficient at what they're doing, and also knowing that I can back up, make sure that's making contact with individual students as far as what is it that you need that I'm not providing, and I guess it will never replace that face-to-face every day in the classroom. But we have made great strides, and I feel better based on the reassurance that I'm hearing from our principals, as well as some teachers. I have teachers that will reach out and say, okay, this is not working, or this, let me tell you what happened today. It's really good. And I appreciate that because that gives me a good idea when you look at the many classrooms across this district out of the many campuses.
As we look towards the next week, the announcement went out, a reevaluation will happen
On the
around
13th.
on the 13th, midweek on a Wednesday of next week. To see how we will proceed. Can you just expound a little bit about that, about what that will look like in that reeval, and then the communication process that will go out following what is ultimately decided?
And again, it's one of those that trying to explain, we look back so we can look forward, and we're looking at not only across the county, because we've said this several times, that there is a correlation as far as when we look at our school community and the parallel that we see as it runs with county numbers. And
it'll give us a true snapshot too of what actually transpired following holiday break, the 2-week holiday break. That is something that we don't want to get lost in there. That gives us a real good idea after the dust has settled, so to speak, to know where we are.
And we've started this looking at, we can back up to Halloween and follow anytime that there is, whether you want to call it a holiday or a major event where we know people are going to be grouping.
Fall break, Thanksgiving break, Halloween, now holiday break. So this upcoming reeval will let us know.
And we, even during the break, families were communicating with us as far as whether there was illness in the family, there was exposure, an active case, whatever it might be, but we were also seeing the same thing from staff. I wish I could say that we saw a decline, but we didn't.
Right.
But again, if you look at just the county statistics, we were seeing an uptick, an increase. In fact, there was a couple of days that we were hitting peaks at a highest point that we had seen since we'd been tracking during the pandemic. And so we are watching that closely as well. We'll know more when we look at on the 13th as far as looking at 2 weeks back. And then what are we seeing as a daily trend? Are we getting better? Are we plateauing? We want to see a plateau. That would be a good indication. And then make determination from there, because the thing that I can say with certainty and assurance, we want to be back in school.
Absolutely.
Nothing replaces that. Nothing. Have we made great strides? We have. But the thing is that we want to get our students back in the classroom.
A lot of topic right now. I know you and I have discussed this week about the phase 1 of the vaccine. I know that you've been in communication with Wilson County Mayor Randall Hutto this week on helping in any way possible to facilitate this process. When it comes to the vaccine, and educators have now been moved up to the 1B phase.
Right, from 2.
Yeah, from 2. What's the latest on that as you see it today? We don't have an exact date to know when that would be administered because they're still working through 75 and older at this point. But what do you know as we know it today, the latest on that?
Well, one of the first things that, I have to address simply because we've been asked, are you going to make it mandatory that you take a vaccine? No. We don't do that with the flu vaccine. Do we strongly encourage? Absolutely. Do we make it available? We do that for employees. Well, now we are looking at something that is even more urgent than what we've seen in the past with the flu. We're talking about COVID that has made, it's changed not only our landscape, it changes how we even provide instruction, whether it's remotely or in the classroom, simply because the impact on staff. The vaccine's going to be available, and with that, those that are going to avail themselves of that opportunity, and that's what I call it, it's an opportunity, we're going to make sure that we strongly encourage, our adults to take advantage of that. So with and if anyone's watching the news, as far as what is being distributed, doesn't seem to be the same across the state. Well, that's really happening across the country. But here's what we do know: that phase 1, 2, 3 then was broken down into sub sets, and so you have 1A, 1B. They're still working through 1A right now across the county, which is that's your emergency personnel. They're getting better at not only the communication, but also as far as when the dosages come in to make sure that they push out, because we now have some people that are ready for their second round, and they want to make sure they have that. It was really good news to know that educators were seen as for moving from 2 up to 1B, because look at the importance.
Right.
Let's get our teachers back into the classroom and know that they are going to be protected once they avail themselves of this vaccine.
But let's stop right there. Just because a vaccine is in place and educators get it does not mean it is going to be an immediate fix, so to speak. This will take some time to be effective. However, it gets us to a big step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And that, I guess we need to make sure is communicated, because there's still, I see it emerging right now that once we get everyone vaccinated, that means that we can go back to what we had. Not so quickly.
Right.
Not so quickly. But the thing that we are, and in communication with Mayor Hutto, that's what we're working for as far as what can we do to expedite the process. And again, we've got to go through as far as the 1A, 1B. So what we did yesterday was get a count across the district as far as teachers, or really anyone that's going to have contact with a student, whether it's food services, whether it's looking at our bus drivers, looking at our support staff, anyone that wants to avail themselves of the vaccine, I took a count. So I can submit it to not only our local health department, so they'll know what they need to expect, but we've also are availing our campuses, and this was a conversation that we had with Mayor Hutto, that we've got pods set up that's already something for emergency provisions from other times, that we can set up 5 sites at our high schools, not just for our teachers and our educators to be vaccinated, but let's see what we can do to help expedite the distribution for 1A, and particularly now that they're moving up with the 75 and older, which was right above the educators. But all that to say, the process is working. Right now we have a pretty good majority of our school employees that are wanting to be vaccinated.
Of course, yes.
That is encouraging. I'm one of them. I will be in line there to get that vaccination, because the thing is that we've got to get that protection. And I know that that's not a word that people have embraced, that herd immunity, but that's what happens. The more that we can protect, the more the residual benefit to everyone, and that's what we're working to.
There would not be a mandate from the district level to get the vaccine unless something came down with a state mandate backed by federal guidance as well.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
So just want to clarify that, but it would no district mandate, but a strong encouragement. We respect
Strongly encourage.
decisions from anybody who wants to
And-
get this.
And
Or
Bart,
does
I'd be
not.
remiss not to say, because I've already been challenged as far as why would you not require it as a as an employee of the district, and we know, I go back to, we don't require the flu vaccine. We don't make that as an employment requirement.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing, we do make it available.
You and I have discussed many times over the past month or two. Explain the breakdown of when a snow day would be used.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there was even a national publication that interviewed me on this very question as far as what happens to snow days now.
Right.
And almost as if that was, something of a national emergency. Well, let me qualify this. Snow days are valued in education. They just are. There is a thing that it changes the world. Things become quieter, it becomes calmer. I mean, as a former classroom teacher, love those snow days.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. But the dynamics now, as far as what happens with a weather event, we can look at it differently. If we have the ability, as far as that, when we talk about now, even with remote learning, time and place become irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
We change that. If we know that there is going to be a significant weather event, and let's say we've already transitioned back that we're in-person learning, we know it's coming, make plans, we're going to go into a remote because this is a significant weather event that might be disruptive for 2, 3, 4 days, maybe the entire week.
Right.
You know what we do. What are the remote protocols? We take everything home. However, if we have something that might be sneaking up on us, like on Friday,
Or maybe sometime next week, or who
it might be a
knows?
one-day event. It's not about remote or in person. It's something we didn't have time to prepare, anticipate. It's a snow day.
Right.
It's an inclement weather day. We don't worry about making that preparation as far as that we go into a remote, make sure you take all your materials home, make sure you take your device home with you. And so it's going to depend, but the thing is, I can give assurance that the snow day as we know it, it's going to be dependent as far as a large event or something that crops
Kinda
up and we
sneaky
wake up
surprise,
and there's
right.
ice on the road.
Yeah.
We have an inclement weather day.
And for any teachers who watch this and say, "Well, I go to for a remote, I go to school to teach my remote. So how would that work on a snow?" I think that the one thing that needs to be known through all of this is that safety for everyone will be taken into
including our
consideration,
teachers, yes.
and if the right planning is in place to do synchronous, asynchronous, whatever the case may be, that will be communicated. But we do live in an area where we very rarely get something that's that they can see far out enough to say, okay, it's coming and it's going to be very significant. A lot of times we live in such an area where what could be a rain event turns out to be a snow event. What's supposed to be a snow event could be a rain event. So all those things, but everything will be taken by a case-by-case situation.
Exactly. And so I'm not going to say that we will never see another snow day. That's simply not true.
Right.
But the thing is that where we have the ability to more or less project that and there's pretty
Strong
assurance
confidence that something...
there's a northeastern that's going to be coming through, and that so that you can get the run to the grocery store or whatever. It's also okay in the event that this occurs. Take your materials home.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to teachers. That goes to students. Make sure you have that there. And the thing is that again, it would look differently possibly as far as how, but again, it's making that connection. Those become instructional days. They're not days that made up. But if we have that odd occurrence and safety becoming very important, this is a snow day.
And we do have stockpile days available.
We have stockpile days.
I think some people may be thinking, well, we don't have any days available. No, there are days available that we can use if need be. So
and will if we have to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I make no secret of that. And if we, even though we're on remote right now, the idea that let's say we wake up Friday morning and we've got snow coming down with the potential of ice.
yeah,
Students are already at home, but teachers are not.
right.
That'll be an inclement weather day, and teachers remain at home.
Right.
Be safe.
again, it's if any of these things occur throughout the winter season, we will make sure that everyone knows immediately what the plan is or what the decision was and how that day will be treated. So both educators, support staff, everyone, families, students, they know.
And we're not taking snow days away. I want that, because I've already had some students say, does this mean we'll never have a snow day again? No, we just need the snow.
That's right, which is seemingly more hard to come by these days. More information will be coming next week on the plans for the following week, and we'll get that out to you once that decision is made about the middle of next week. So again, we say thank you to Dr. Wright. Enjoy your weekend. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend as well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you,
Goodbye.
Dr. Wright.